The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'll get started momentarily here. Just give people another few seconds to join in. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. We're excited. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So, welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first public indoors webinar. This is our first of a year-long series. So, I am Christian Tate, the product marketing specialist for ArcGIS Indoors. Joining us today is Bo Rick, an account executive for ArcGIS Indoors, and Will Isley, the product manager for ArcGIS Indoors. So without further ado, welcome to ArcGIS Indoors. Let's get started. So to kick things off, Bo is going to run through the benefits of ArcGIS Indoors for us all. He will then hand it off to Will, who will talk through the ArcGIS Indoors components while also showing us a demo. We will then go back to Bo for a nice few tips on how to get started, and then we will close off with some questions and answers. So to kick things off, let's hand it over to Bo.
Awesome. Thanks, Christian. And yeah, like Christian said, thank you all for joining us. It's really awesome to have so many of you on the line here. I'm really excited to talk about the benefits of ArcGIS Indoors. It is an indoor mapping and positioning system for smart workplace operations. And when we say the word workplace, we get the sense that you probably have somewhere in mind when you think of the word workplace. So we want to understand what you think is the workplace to you. So we actually have some polls throughout this webinar, and the first poll is actually, what does the workplace mean to you? You know, what type of workplace are you occupying right now? So this will help us better understand the types of folks we're talking with. So go ahead and fill out the poll now.
Poll's open. Seeing a lot of responses come in.
Awesome. Yeah, so take a few seconds here, another 5-10 seconds to fill out the poll. Let us know what you think your workplace is. Is it a university campus? Maybe it's a corporate or government campus, or even an airport or a hospital.
Okay.
These are all places work gets done.
Go ahead and close this out and share the results. So yeah, overwhelmingly 2/3 of our attendees right now are part of a corporate or government campus.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's great. You know, it's good to have a sense for the types of folks that are interested in ArcGIS Indoors, so that we can make sure that we're building a good product and that you all are getting your needs met by the solutions. So without further ado, let's get started talking about how ArcGIS Indoors can benefit your smart workplace. And I guess actually before we get into the benefits, let's just take a quick step back and get some context here. Now, many of you may have already seen some of this information in the past from us, but one of the things we like to talk about is that what we've done in the past has really informed how we've gone about building ArcGIS Indoors for smart workplace operations. And what we've learned talking with a lot of you users out there is that you know, your organizations make massive investments in resources that typically reside indoors. So what we found is actually somewhere between 80 and 95% of an organization's overhead is invested in indoor resources. Now, that makes sense because humans are one of those resources, and they're one of the largest investments an organization makes. But there are also fixed assets that those people rely on a daily basis in order to get their jobs done, and they need to be allocated and managed as well. So all of this together, what we've found is that people are looking for a solution to give them visibility of these assets. Right now, they have a building as the highest resolution they can get. We're going to take that down to the unit and asset level. So that's what we're trying to do with ArcGIS Indoors. What we found is that most people are actually using CAD, Excel, paper reports, and emails to manage these resources. So that's a big problem for those organizations. And this is actually our second poll. So there are 3 polls. This is the second poll. What we want to know is, what's your primary data source? If you're already working with indoor maps, is that coming from, are the file types you're typically working with DWGs, DGNs, maybe it's Revit files or PDF or some other boutique BIM file type? Go ahead and fill out the poll now so that we can have a good sense for what types of data you all are working with, and how we can better support that moving forward.
Okay.
So give you a few more seconds to fill out the poll, and then I think Christian will share the results here.
Yep, a lot of them coming in. Let's give them about 10 more seconds. Give a few more people a chance to vote.
Awesome.
Right now, we're looking at a similar result to the first poll question, where 2/3 of everyone polled has a DWG as their primary data source. So let's go ahead and close that and share the results. So yep, 2/3 DWG, and then we also have nearly 50% with PDFs.
Wow. Okay. No, that's really interesting. That makes a lot of sense. And you know, some folks might not even have that, right? They might not have anything. So that's been some of the feedback we've gotten from folks in the past as well. But it's good to see that our experience of talking to you all is being reflected in some of these polls. So that's really encouraging. We think that this really lines up with a lot of value for our users. So what we found is that this process, or actually we didn't find this, the National Institute of Science and Technology did some research on the lack of interoperability of data in the capital facilities industry. And what they found is that this process of connecting the dots between all these disconnected data sources actually costs an organization about 33 cents per square foot per year. And that's a massive investment when we're talking about corporate or government campuses or universities that are, upwards of 2, 5, 10, even 15 million square feet. So this is on top of the investment they're already making in these internal or indoor resources, whether they're the human resources or the physical or fixed assets. This is a big cost center for organizations, and this is what we're trying to solve. This is that problem that a lot of organizations are having. So ArcGIS Indoors is a geo-enabled system for smart workplace operations. And it allows users to create a common operating picture, as well as create indoor location awareness across their workplace. So you can have access to indoor information across your entire workforce, right? Whether it's your employees, your contractors, your visitors, everyone has access to the same common operating picture, and the indoor location awareness to collect and create new data in this picture. So that's really what ArcGIS Indoors is all about. Now, we help streamline the creation of that common operating picture through some desktop tools that Will's going to show here in a few minutes, which allows us to better plan and allocate resources for accessibility and utilization across the workplace. We also enable indoor location awareness. So folks have the ability to improve service and maintenance delivery by being able to immediately share their indoor location, as well as log data against building or spatial information of a particular unit, and actually log issues with that building information. So this is another key benefit of ArcGIS Indoors, is our indoor location awareness. And again, across the organization, we're providing unlimited user accessibility, empowering employees, contractors, visitors, all with access to identity-based maps that allow them to easily find and access resources across the workplace, as well as share information with colleagues about where things need to be done or where they're getting things done or what have you. But these are the key benefits that we want you to keep in mind as we now switch over to Will, the product manager, who's going to talk a little bit about the ArcGIS Indoors components and how they can actually support these benefits. Over to you, Will.
Hi, everyone. Thanks. Can you guys hear me okay, Bo?
Yep, we can. Thanks,
Perfect. Will. So as Bo mentioned, my name is Will Isley. I'm the product manager for ArcGIS Indoors, and it's my pleasure to announce that as of last Thursday, ArcGIS Indoors has released for public availability. So what did we release at that first release? Well, what we released as far as first release capabilities include support for creating indoor data sets and making indoor maps that are supported through the ArcGIS platform, the ability to automatically generate an indoor routable network. We provide web and mobile wayfinding applications. And for the mobile wayfinding application, we actually support interfacing with indoor positioning systems to show the user where they currently are indoors or outdoors on a map. We added the capability to support device tracking for those users that do want to opt in to be tracked to support their organization's ability to dispatch them to appropriate locations and know where they are. And we also added the capability of allowing users, whether they're occupants or visitors, to share their location information with other users to collaborate. Now, ArcGIS Indoors is a complete indoor mapping system, and at the heart of that system is an information model that we've developed in the geodatabase. And in that information model, we support the storage of floor plans and points of interest for either indoor or outdoor wayfinding and an indoor routable network. We also provide an add-in to ArcGIS Pro that supports the data curation. That's creating the information model itself, populating the information model by loading in CAD engineering drawings, and then auto-generating the indoor and outdoor routable network. We also provide a web application for wayfinding, for incident reporting, and location sharing. We provide a native mobile application that runs on iOS and Android that does the same with some extra added capabilities, of one of which is interfacing with indoor positioning systems to show the user where they currently are on a mobile device, whether they're indoors or outdoors. And if you marry the system with data from other external systems, such as work order management systems, asset management systems, or incident management systems, you can create a common operating picture workplace map to support your operational workflows within your organization. So let's talk a little bit about the information model of ArcGIS Indoors. The information model is a geodatabase information model, and it is simple feature classes. There's no special extension required to be able to read this data set. It includes feature classes that support modeling the floor plan, and this is a hierarchy model that we've created. It starts at the site level, which is analogous to a campus, and then from there it can go down to buildings within the campus, and then from there floors within the building, and it goes all the way down to the unit level or the office level. We've also modeled a routable network within this information model, so you can do indoor and outdoor routing on your corporate sites. We also model points of interest that you can use as searchable locations that you want to do wayfinding to, as well as organizational calendar events such as seminars or training events that you may want to publish and have discoverable by your users, and so they can find them as those are generally in indoor locations. And then we also support the notion of tracking zones. You know, as I mentioned, we do support device tracking if the users that are using the application do opt into it, but the organization can specify that when the users do opt into it, which portions of the organization they want to support tracking versus those that don't. And so, you know, if your organization only really wants to support device tracking within their site, they can specify that. And if they want to be more granular, to say there's other areas in the site that they don't want tracking to happen, they can do that as well. So ArcGIS Indoors also provides a web application that has two different experiences. One experience is our kiosk experience, which is a touchscreen experience that can be deployed to either a tablet device or a touchscreen monitor and then mounted at your reception areas. And this can support your visitor or occupant users with doing wayfinding while on the go. It also supports running on a computer that has a user experience that's more oriented towards using a mouse or a touchscreen pad to support occupant users for doing wayfinding. Now, this experience supports being able to search for locations. So if you know the name of the thing you're searching for, you can type it. That could be the name of a person or a room or something else. But if you don't know the name of the thing you're looking for, you're just looking for something that's close to you that has no specific name, like a restroom or a first aid kit, you can do the category exploration feature, which this is a configurable set of categories you can group your data into to define what you want users to be able to find. It also supports doing indoor routing to these locations, and it can do it in the same building, across different floors, or even across buildings in the same campus. It supports integration with Survey123, and this is interesting because if you have a problem with an indoor location, you can actually push our 311 button on that location and auto-launch Survey123 in a manner that populates it with the indoor location, and then fill out an incident that can report the problem back to your IST group or your facilities group. We also support sharing the indoor location with another user by sending an email link, and that email link you send to the other user can actually auto-launch ArcGIS Indoors to the specific location on the map to show that user where that person is. It supports favorites, which are analogous to bookmarks of indoors locations, and history if you want to remember the last few searches or last few locations that you went to. It supports anonymous use. So if an organization wants to publish this particular application outside its firewall to visitor users, it can do that, and it doesn't require ArcGIS named users to be able to use it. And it supports organizational branding, so you can actually change the logo at the top left-hand corner to be your corporate logo, and even change the color scheme to align with your organization's color scheme. It supports simple web printing, so if you're at the kiosk and you do get directions, and the directions are pretty elaborate, you don't think you can remember them, it does provide you an option to be able to print them out. And these applications support not only 2D maps, but they support 3D maps, which we'll be demonstrating to you in a bit. Our mobile application is a native mobile application that runs on iOS and it runs on Android. It has many of the same capabilities that are offered in the web application I just mentioned previously, but it supports a few other capabilities, one of which is that you can select from a number of different maps that are shared to you. And these could be maps like safety and security map, it could be an asset management map, it could be an occupancy map, or it could just be a simple wayfinding map. It supports selection of multiple maps. In addition to that, it interfaces with indoor positioning systems, so you can provide a blue dot on the screen to show the user where they are, either indoors or outdoors. It supports device tracking, so if the user opts into this, they can have their device tracked to support the operations of their organization. It also interfaces with the calendar that's on the native device, and so it can list the appointments you have for the day and then show you where they are. So if you have an appointment in various conference rooms or offices or other indoor locations, it can actually help you find those on a map and then navigate you to them. And it can support even integrating with the organizational event calendar I mentioned previously, which could be seminars or training events that your organization publishes out to other users. So as I mentioned, the mobile application does support interfacing with indoor positioning systems. You can use Bluetooth beacons to do positioning, which gives you the best accuracy. However, you do have to make a hardware investment of Bluetooth beacons and place them throughout your organization if you don't already have them. Or you can use Wi-Fi based positioning, which can leverage your existing infrastructure of wireless access points to be able to do indoor positioning. It's not quite as accurate as Bluetooth, but it can get by. And then ArcGIS Indoors will actually tell you not only where you are indoor, it will tell you where you are moving when you're between buildings by using GPS. But you don't have to have an indoor positioning system to be able to use ArcGIS Indoors. It's just an option to you if you want to use it. So with that, I'm going to give you some demonstrations of some of these applications. Now, I'm going to be jumping between different devices and different applications. And when we rehearsed this earlier, it did kind of, it was a little bit of a fumbling around. So what we've done is earlier in this week, we've pre-recorded it so that it can make it more seamless and save you time from watching us jump between applications. So the first thing I'm showing you here, this is actually the kiosk application, and it's being recorded off of an iPad that's mounted at a reception area. And the story here is that, you know, I'm a visitor user, and I've come to this site, and there's an event that I'm coming to, a seminar, at this site. But then also there's a meeting that I need to go to in a building that I've never been in a room that I don't know where it's at. So I've arrived to the site and I've gone to the reception area, but before I do anything, you know, it's been a long trip for me. I need to use the restroom. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the nearest restroom. So I'm going to click the Explore button at the bottom left-hand corner. And when I do that, I'm presented with a menu of categories. And these categories are configurable, but I'll click the Places and Things and then click the Restrooms. And it's going to list for me all of the restrooms in order of proximity. And I'm going to click the first one at the top. And you can see the restroom's actually really nearby. I just couldn't see it because the stairway was in the way. And so it's going to navigate me to the restroom right there just by drawing a graphic on the map. It's pretty easy to get to. Now I'm going to look at the events calendar for the organization to see what events are happening today, because I'm looking for the seminar I'm supposed to attend. And it's going to present me with the events that are happening today. And there's the telecommunication partner seminar that I'm supposed to be attending. I'm going to click on that button. It'll navigate me to the location and also give me some details, but also give me the option to route to this location as well. So if I click the directions button here, you can see it's going to route me to it. And luckily, it's in the same building, so that's not too bad. I just need to go around the corner there, past the stairway, and I'm right there. So now I want to find out where my next meeting is going to be at, which is the one in the conference room. So I'm going to type the name of the conference room, which is 03 Atrium South. And as I do that, it's IntelliSensing what it might be, the name of it. So I found it and I clicked it. It navigates me to that location, which is 03 Atrium South, gives me some details about that location, but now I want to get directions to that, which is actually across campus. So I'm going to click that, and it's going to give me directions, and it's going to give me a graphic on the map showing me how to get there. And you can see it's actually navigating me across buildings and across different floors. And we can click the different buttons that are the different links to the different portions of the navigation and the walking directions, and you can see it's navigating the user. And you can see it's floor aware, so it's taking me to the different floors as I do it. But I can also click that floor picker in the top right-hand corner and change the floors manually myself if I wanted to. And this application is not only supports a 2D map, it supports a 3D map. So I click the 3D button, and now I'm presented with a 3D user experience. So let's tilt this, and you're actually looking at the third floor with the route going up the stairwell into the third floor, and we'll navigate back, and you can see you can look at one building at a time by taking the top off of it. So I just clicked the All Floors button, so you can see all the floors now. And now you can see there's a portion I want to look at, but this building's in the way. So I'm going to click the rotation button to quickly rotate around and get a better vantage point to look at what I wanted to look at over here. And in the 3D view, you can still do all the same work. You can click an item and you can identify it and get information about it. And you can choose the floor picker and look at the different floors in the 3D view as well. And let me navigate back a little bit and show you how you actually access a building. So there's a building in the top left-hand corner. I'll just simply touch it with my finger, and what it'll do is take off the building shell and allow me to see inside, and then I'll click the first floor and take a look at the first floor. And this is the building I actually started in. You can see the level of detail this map provides you as we pan over. And then there's the auditorium that my session's going to be in. And actually, I thought the session was actually going to be in a conference room, so I found out it's an auditorium, so I'm going to have to get there a little bit early to make sure that I have enough time to get a seat. But you can see there's the 3D experience of this application. So that's the experience for the visitor or the occupant at the reception area if they use the kiosk. Now let's change over the workflow a bit. Let's say the meeting that I was going to go to in 03 Atrium South, that conference room across the way, let's say that the guy that was hosting me there, I'll now pretend to be that guy, and I'm trying to set up the meeting, and I'm having audio video equipment issues, and I need immediate support. So what I do is I call my IST department, and I've told them, hey, you know, I have a high-profile customer here with me, and I need to get this meeting up and going immediately. Can you dispatch the nearest person to me to help me out? And so then I'm going to transition over to the same application that's running on a PC with a little bit of a different view. And this is the IST manager that's going to dispatch the closest person. And you can see we have a device tracking layer in the map with the closest technicians that updates once a minute. And what we're going to do is we're going to search for the conference room that's having the issue, find it on the map. So first we're going to go up to the search bar and type 03 Atrium South. And we found the conference room. And now we want to find the nearest technician through device tracking on the map, and that looks like it is William Isley. I know that guy. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to send him an email link to the location we want to dispatch him to. So I'll just quickly type his email address, and there's the link, and then I'll change the the subject of this to be the actual location I'm sending him to. And then I'll click send. So now as the manager, I've dispatched a location to this technician to go to that location to service an incident. Now we'll switch workflows over to the technician, who's then received that email. Now the technician's job is actually to go to that location and service the issue. And for this, we'll now be on an iPhone running ArcGIS Indoors Mobile. And so the first thing I'm going to do is launch the email application to get the link and click it, and it's going to smart launch me to that location. And then from there, I can push the directions button, and I can actually get turn-by-turn walking directions. And what I want to do here is I want to pause it for a second and talk to you a little bit about the directions that you're seeing on the map. The first thing about these directions that you'll notice is it automatically knew where I was as a user. In the bottom, you'll see that blue dot on the screen. That blue dot's derived by the Bluetooth positioning system that we've deployed in this facility, and therefore the application automatically just knows where I am. So it knew how to route me there as a starting point, and it drew a graphic on the map. And that graphic on the map actually has me using the stairwell to get up to the 3rd floor. And you can see the dotted line at the end of the journey is actually dotted because it's taking me from the 1st floor I'm on to the 3rd floor to get there. So I'm going to click this button, and you can see it's giving me turn-by-turn walking directions, and it's actually telling me to take the stairwell. We'll actually navigate through these directions by using the navigation experience, so I can see the different portions of my journey through this building to that location. Now, we not only support the walking directions, but we also support wheelchair directions. And so if we actually close this out and click the wheelchair button at the top, you can see it's actually going to navigate me through the elevator versus the stairwell, and the walking directions reflect that as well. But let's click on the specific direction, the place that we're at. And now, after I serviced my incident that I went to go deal with, I navigated to that location, I helped them with their audio video equipment. Now I'm just going to go about my day and service the rest of the incidents I have to deal with. Well, what I've done here is I've clicked the schedule button, and the schedule button is showing me all of my appointments in my calendar that I have for the day. That's because whenever I get work dispatched to me, it's put in Outlook to schedule my day for me about where I need to go to deal with these incidents. And you can see below the incident I'm going to be servicing, it tells me the specific room that's in. And that's how ArcGIS Indoors knows how to tell me how far that location is away from me. And I can actually use that experience to navigate to the various locations to see where they are on the map, or I can click that little arrow button if I wanted to and route to them. But let's click a couple of them, and it'll show you to quickly navigate you to where the different incidents are located at. So you can see it's quickly navigating to me to those locations. Now let's go to the last one. And let's say I'm servicing that specific incident. I'm doing that server setup in that conference room. And let's say I have whoops, excuse me for a second, I jumped the demo over. My first glitch. Excuse me while I correct it real quick. You could see how trying to do this demo live would be even harder than running the recording. Okay, so I'm back to where I was. So let's say I'm in this conference room now, and I'm servicing a technician incident, and there's an issue. It's a new issue that actually wasn't the one I actually originally went there to service. And so what I did is I can report the new issue by clicking the 311 button that you saw earlier at that location. And what that's going to do is it's going to automatically launch survey 123, and it's going to launch it in a way that can actually feed it the coordinate location of where I'm at, and it's actually accurate indoor. But it's also going to feed it the building information. It's going to tell it the building, the floor, the room, and then all I have to do is provide a title to the issue. So I'm going to type that there's a broken projector in this room, and then I'm going to click Done and Submit. Now this is a fascinating feature because it's not only usable by your operations people, but you can allow your organizational users to be able to report incidents in this fashion, to be able to tell your IST or your facilities people that you're having an issue, say such as a broken faucet in a restroom, or broken telephone equipment, or anything that's indoor related where you have a problem with an asset, and you can sort of crowdsource incident reporting to your organization. So the workflows we've been showing you have been the operations people, but those systems and applications can't be powered without the support of the map maker setting up those systems and publishing the Indoors maps. So now let's show you the components of ArcGIS Indoors that support building up these maps. And so what you're looking at now is ArcGIS Pro with the CAD floor plan drug into the map. And we have a geoprocessing tool in ArcGIS Indoors that actually is called Floor Plan to Indoors and allows you to basically ETL a CAD drawing into the ArcGIS Indoors information model. It transforms it into the feature classes required to build an indoor floor plan. And this is what it looks like once you do that. It looks like just any other map, except it's floor aware. You can actually navigate between the different floors using the vertical order picker on the right-hand side. And not only do our tools automatically ETL the CAD data into a floor plan, but you can automatically generate your indoor network, as I mentioned before. So let me turn that on, and you can see what that's going to look like. That's what the automatic routable network looks like. And you also can load in your own points of interest, which are the wayfinding points that you want to be able to route to, and those can be either indoors or they can be outdoors. And so here we're looking at the routable network, and the important piece I wanted to notate here, and let me pause it for a second so I don't lose this, is that this indoor routable network that we generated is just a standard network analyst network data set, meaning that if you're a user of ArcGIS, you don't need anything special with regard to ArcGIS Indoors to be able to navigate with it. You can build your own applications on top of it, and it's supported through Network Analyst. What's special about it with regard to ArcGIS Indoors is that it's automatically generated based off of the floor plan you've loaded into the information model. And so you can see on the right-hand side, Network Analyst is showing us the turn-by-turn walking directions in ArcGIS Pro. And as I mentioned, once you give us your 2D floor plan, we have a rules engine that can then generate the 3D model from it, and then you can take that 3D model and publish it into your applications. So that's what I wanted to show. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Bo, who's going to talk to you about getting started with ArcGIS Indoors. Bo?
Hey, thanks, Will. And yes, now I want to take a second to talk about how to get started with ArcGIS Indoors. But before we do that, we've actually reached our third and final poll. So the final poll here, we're going to show in a second. It's basically going to ask what kinds of business operations you'd like to support using ArcGIS Indoors. This will help us understand how we can best help you get started too. So this is the stuff we want to keep in mind. Maybe you want to support security operations. Maybe you are looking at a similar workflow to what Will just showed, supporting IST. Maybe maintenance operations, things of that nature. Go ahead, fill out the poll, and let us know what your thoughts are on which operations you'd like to support, and then we can dive into how to get started.
Yep, so let's give about 10 more seconds, get a few more people here, ability to vote. Okay, go ahead and close that and share the results. So 82% want to support facilities and maintenance operations, 47% in IT support, 36% security, and 41% in other business operations. So it's good to see that people want to support all those. It looks like.
That must be new math. 82 plus 41.
Oh, it's because multiple answers are allowed. So.
Oh.
Awesome.
So that's a good thing, actually. Very good thing.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome to hear. And that kind of mirrors what a lot of folks we've been getting started are looking to support. So now let's dive into some of the steps to get started. Now, what we've built actually is the Indoors pilot program, which is really an engagement focused on establishing initial operating capabilities in a pilot area for your organization, and then deploying the geospatial apps, the apps that Will had just kind of demonstrated, whether it's the web, mobile, kiosk applications, in order to support your operational business lines. So we can help you get started supporting your security or facilities maintenance or...
I don't mean to interrupt. I think we might still be looking at the poll results.
The poll results seem to be stuck.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I apologize for interrupting.
Sorry.
No worries.
Let me
technical difficulty with the webinar.
Let me change presenters real quick to Will, and then we'll go back to Bo. Hopefully that'll clear the issue. Sorry about that, everybody.
You can look at my Bo as a pirate picture.
Okay, it's back to you, Bo. Go ahead and share.
All right.
There we go.
Excellent. Great. Wonderful. So yes, as I was stating earlier, We do have what is called the Indoors pilot program. So now this is an engagement focused on, building out those initial operating capabilities that Will just kind of reviewed with you all in order to deploy the applications and support those operational business lines. Now, this engagement really focuses on 3 key steps in order to get started with ArcGIS Indoors. So the first step being create your indoor maps, right? So starting with the data that you have on hand today. Sounds like most of you all are still working with CAD, some of you working with PDF. We want to help you get those maps into the Indoors information model. The next step is evaluating indoor positioning capabilities, right? So we can help you determine which technologies are right for your indoor positioning system if you want to turn on the ability to share, create, collect, share indoor location data across your workplace. Some use cases can get away with using simple Wi-Fi infrastructure that already exists. Other use cases may require higher resolution location data, so we might be looking at a Bluetooth beacon deployment, but we can help with both the deployment and the survey of those indoor positioning systems. And finally, kind of concurrently with all of this, we'll also be helping configure the actual application, so making sure that we get the right features on the map and making sure that the apps are available to the right end users. And that may also include evaluation for what types of third-party systems need to be integrated with the system in order to create the right points of information across your organization, or potentially extending these applications in a future phase of the project in order to support other business operations. So these are the 3 easy steps to get started. And if you're interested, feel free to reach out. But with that, we want to thank you all for joining us and now open the floor for questions. So I believe there's a questions box that you can submit your questions through. We're going to take a few seconds here, let some questions roll in, and then we'll begin answering. All right, awesome. So we're getting some questions coming through. One of the first questions I noticed, and this is probably as it pertains to getting started, can I still get started if my organization's CAD is a mess? That's a funny question. A lot of CAD is kind of all over the place. In fact, we are actually developing a network of partners who are capable of capturing 360 imagery and laser scans to generate this indoor data outside of relying on your existing CAD. In some cases, it may be more economic to actually go this route in order to create your indoor data than to try to manage your existing CAD data that is unstructured and apparent is sometimes not in good condition. And that'll be part of the process of helping you get started. We'll help you identify what state your CAD is currently in and how we can get you the right information of your indoor spaces. It looks like I'm having trouble seeing all the questions because there are a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot coming in. I think we had one come in about the roadmap.
Yep, and we got that. And one of the questions I do want to address right off the bat here is Esri tracking me? That's a really good question because personal information data is very important in today's day and age, and the easy answer to that is absolutely not. We have no interest in tracking your organization's employees. ArcGIS Indoors is an enterprise system that we give to your organization, and the way that they use it, what we've seen folks wanting to utilize the location tracking purposes for is for ensuring field agents safety and security. So potentially, we've had one instance where a security team wanted to know the real-time location of all their field agents, and that's to ensure not only the security team's safety but also the broader safety and security of the entire workplace. You may also have instances where there are enclosed or secure areas on your campus that you'd like to know if anyone entered at any point in time, or if people cannot enter it, making sure that they don't. These would be other use cases where folks would be interested in leveraging the indoor location tracking. Okay, and it looks like we did have some questions. So, Will, some questions here for you, actually. Could you talk a little bit about what's available for developers at the first release?
Sure. So we didn't develop any specific SDKs to support ArcGIS Indoors. However, ArcGIS Indoors does support doing custom development. If you understand the ArcGIS Indoors information model, which is actually published in the user help, this information model is an information model in the geodatabase, and it's really based off of simple feature classes. There's no special extension you need to install to understand it from an ArcGIS platform standpoint. You just have feature classes for facilities, for offices, for levels, for points of interest. Those are just simple point, line, and polygon feature classes that if you put those into a mobile map package, you can operate against them against the stock runtimes for ArcGIS, whether they're iOS, Android, or whatever runtime you want to develop against. And if you publish those out as map or feature services, you can actually use the JavaScript API to build custom applications on top of it. So if you understand the information model, you can use existing SDKs to develop.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. Another question that popped up that I think you'd be good to answer. What are some of the near-term items on the roadmap for ArcGIS Indoors capabilities, or future ArcGIS Indoors capabilities?
Yeah, I can highlight a couple of those. So one of the things we're working on is the support for external system integration. This is integration of your work order management systems, your incident management systems, your asset management systems, such that it's a little more seamless. There are patterns and ways that you can integrate them today, but they require work at deployment time, and we want to productize these more. Some of the systems that we're looking to integrate with include ServiceNow, CityWorks, Tririga, IBM's Maximo. I have a laundry list, but those are the near-term ones we're currently looking at right now. And the way we plan to integrate with them is to not repeat their functionality. I mean, these systems already support work order management system, incident management, and asset management. We're not trying to duplicate those systems or their functionality. What we want to do is provide an indoor map to facilitate the indoors operational use of those systems. And so basically being able to plot your work orders on an indoor map, and then being able to support users and being able to do the wayfinding to those locations. Also, when they are at those locations, being able to go to locations and the 311 button I showed earlier where it launched Survey 123, instead launching the asset management system or incident management system or work order management system that is preferred instead of launching Survey 123. It could be any system that you want to configure it to use. So we're working on that. We're also working on better and tighter integration with BIM data sets. So as you know, ArcGIS is actually has support for bringing in Revit data into ArcGIS Pro and then even publishing that data out as a building scene layer. We want to have better and tighter integration with that with ArcGIS Indoors, so you can natively use your BIM data. We're also working on interfacing with additional indoor positioning systems beyond the ones we support today. So there are a couple out there that we're currently looking at. One of them is Acuity's Atrius system, which is a visual lighting system that's used in retail or airports for very high accuracy indoor positioning. We're also looking at Cisco's CMX system, about integrating that and support for that. Another one we're looking at is Aruba's system, and that's based off of Bluetooth beacons. That's a few things that we're looking at on the near-term roadmap.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Will. Some other questions I think you may be good to answer as well. Can we establish room assets as POIs, such as projectors, TVs, things like that?
Oh, you absolutely can. Points of interest are, it's a feature class model, and you can use it to populate it with whatever you want. And we have ways to auto-generate points of interest based off of the Indoors information model, or you can load in your own asset information if you'd like.
Awesome. And sort of similar to that, there seem to be a lot of questions about the actual data. Can you assign people to offices or workspaces?
You can. At the first release, we don't have a web application or an end user application to do that. However, it is supported within ArcGIS Pro and the ArcGIS Indoors information model. So either you can use ArcGIS Pro to do office assignments, or you can build custom applications on top of it to do that work. And this is actually a capability that we are looking at building ourselves beyond version 1.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Will. We have a lot that I think you could answer here. I'm going to go through a few more of them, but some of them we might want to take offline. Can ArcGIS Indoors be used with the other ArcGIS apps such as Workforce Collector, Ops Dashboard, or is it just Survey 123 that it integrates with?
That's a real good question, and it does roll into another thing I wanted to bring up. I'll answer that question, but I'm going to precede it with some information that Esri has recently purchased Indoors. It's actually, the company name is Indu.rs. It was a company in Vienna, Austria. We've purchased them, and they have built their own indoor positioning system that's currently integrated with ArcGIS Indoors, and that indoor positioning system is now owned by Esri, and over time it's going to be rolled into the ArcGIS platform, so you can do indoor positioning within any of the mobile applications that ArcGIS provides, including Collector, Navigator, Workforce. In addition to that, there's near-term ways you can integrate with these apps before that happens, such that you can use them. You can consume indoor maps in Workforce and Collector. The only thing is those applications themselves don't currently have indoor positioning the way that ArcGIS Indoor supports it. So you wouldn't know where you currently are on a map unless you had a physical reference on the map. The other is that you would have to create a separate map for different floors at the first release. So you can do it, but there's nuance to it until we get the floor-aware maps of ArcGIS Indoors rolled out through the platform, which is part of the roadmap.
Awesome, thank you, Will. And there's one other question I think is kind of interesting. Can we speak to the role that partners play and the partner program plays with ArcGIS Indoors? So I'll take a stab at answering that. I think we've as mentioned when discussing how to get started if your CAD is a mess. We are in the process of building out an established network of indoor specialty partners that will be trained on the ArcGIS Indoors system and work closely with the Esri ArcGIS Indoors team. And our partners are really important to us in this nature because they're going to provide a lot of services and potentially opportunities for integration or extension of the applications of ArcGIS Indoors. So we're working on building out that network. They're primarily going to fall in terms of helping deliver particular services related to the actual deployment of ArcGIS Indoors, potentially data or analytics on top of the system, and as well as potentially helping our users integrate ArcGIS Indoors with other systems. So that's one of the ways that's some of the ways we're looking at working with partners in this space. Some other ways we're working closely with partners is, as Will had mentioned earlier, also focusing on actually creating some off-the-shelf third-party integrations to external systems, and we'll be working with partners on that as well. Some additional questions I think are still rolling in.
I think let's take a couple more. It looks like a lot of them are kind of pretty technical, so we'll take note of those since there's hundreds coming in, and we'll answer those off-site at another time. But let's take a couple more, Bo, and then give people a few minutes back into their day.
Sure, thanks, Christian. Yeah, one in particular that we should probably um, address is, does this discourage human-to-human interaction?
That was an
And
interesting one I saw.
yeah, and I think that that's a really interesting question. I think that in my sense is that no, it actually encourages it, because we have the ability to better understand where our colleagues are. I mean, for example, on the Esri campus here, I've moved offices recently, and the folks that I typically collaborate with have been unable to find me at my old office and are now wondering, oh, where's Bo? How do I get to his office to meet him? So we actually think it's the reverse. It's actually hoping to encourage human-to-human interaction, where folks can actually get to each other, talk to them in person, and engage with each other in order to collaborate and create together. So that's okay. So I think, Christian, you have a really great idea. Some of these questions I think would be better suited for taking offline, and we can get back to you. We have a log of all the questions. We'll follow up with you individually. We're going to give you about 10 minutes back in your day here. But before we let you go, we want to give you some options for finding new information. So if you're interested in getting started with the ArcGIS Indoors pilot program, then reach out to one of our experts today. You can go to go.esri.com/indoors in order to fill out the form and get in touch with an expert today. We also have some social networks established where you can follow us at ArcGIS_Indoors. And we'll have our follow-up webinar. Actually, our next webinar is next Wednesday, or not next Wednesday, sorry, Wednesday, April 24th, from 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, and it'll be focused on indoor positioning systems. So you'll have the chance to meet some of the folks from our Vienna R&D Center that was just established. They'll kind of introduce the different indoor positioning technologies they've worked with, and some other things in that space. And I believe the registration for that webinar will be shared in a follow-up email here to come.
Yes.
So once again,
go ahead, Bo. Sorry.
Yep. No, once again, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate you taking some time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Really glad to see you here today, and we'll see you soon.